yeah, maybe while people are joining and turning on their videos and coming into the room, be nice if you can turn on your videos so people can see who's here. Let me just check who's first time here, who hasn't been to a dive-in session before. Maybe just raise your hand. Yeah, okay, there's a couple of people. Oh, welcome. Lovely to have you with us. Lovely to have you with us. So everybody else has some familiarity with, and of those new folks, just out of interest, how many of you have done any kind of inquiry before? So if you've done some inquiry before, raise your hand. Okay. And let's say if you haven't done any inquiry before, let's see, raise your hand. Okay, so we've got a whole room full of one person new. Okay, good. Well, the beautiful thing about this session is that it really is for everybody, right? So it's there. Usually at our dive-in sessions, we have people with just all levels of experience, right? People who have been inquiring for really 20, 30 years, and people who are discovering it new for the first time. So hopefully, whatever your level of experience, there'll be something useful for you here. So as we get started, so many of you know me. My name is Dominic, and I'm a diamond approach teacher. I'm the author of Diving in the Inner Ocean. And I've been really, really deeply interested in helping people learn how to inquire, right? Learn how to engage this absolutely amazing practice. So the book really was kind of putting out a new way of teaching the practice, right? Breaking the practice down into very practical steps in a way that hadn't really been done before, and that then has helped people really unlock the power of it. So we're going to be getting a taste of some of that today. This is going to be a very practical session. This is not a talk shop. So you're going to really get to try some of this out for yourself. I want to thank the folks at Shambhala. They published the book, and they also suggested and advertised this session. So I feel a lot of appreciation for them for that initiative. So yeah, basically in the next 90 minutes, we're going to start with a little guided practice, right? And then I will take you, talk a bit about a particular element or aspect of inquiry. And this time we're really going to be looking at the heart. And after that, you will get to do your own little exercise. You'll get to do a very short exercise yourselves to really get a practical taste. And then we'll come back together for some sharing, for some questions and comments to discuss what comes up. So as a reminder, this is a public forum, so anybody can show up here. We record the session and it will be made available afterwards. We don't record what happens in your exercise in the breakout room, so that's completely confidential. And if you do the exercise, a reminder that anything you hear in that breakout room from anybody else's inquiry is always held in complete confidence. So that's something to remember. So, in case there are any new folks, just a quick step back. So what do we mean inquiry? Right? Well, really, human beings have been introspecting, right? Exploring their inner worlds for, I think as long as there have been human beings. And in many different traditions, there are different ways of doing that, right? And you think ways of exploring your inner world range from, people know things like journaling, things like therapy, and practices like meditation. So these are all different ways of engaging with your inner world. So inquiry is a particularly interesting form of doing that, way of doing that. And what makes inquiry particularly interesting, and especially the kind of inquiry that we're looking at here, is that it combines two things. So, similar to meditation, we get in touch and become aware of the immediacy of our experience. Right? So we really get in touch with what it is that's happening now. Right? And then, unlike meditation, right, we take a further step, right, and we begin to actually explore and describe what we find there. Right? We want to try to discover what it is, to discover it and to find out what's making it happen, right? Eventually to come to understand our experience of ourselves, our experience of reality, right? And this way, as we grow in that kind of understanding, we become more and more wise, right? Wise in living our lives, wise in what it is to be a human being. So, has these two elements. And in the book and in the way that I teach the practice of inquiry, you can think of your inner world as like an ocean, right? The whole ocean of your inner world that contains all the different things that you experience, right? Your thoughts, your feelings, your perceptions, your impulses and drives, the whole lot, right? Everything that goes on within your consciousness. This is what we mean, right? Talking about the inner ocean, that's what we're talking about. So we're going to begin with a short practice, what we call a sensing practice, that's going to allow us to begin to enter that inner world, to get in touch with it in an immediate way. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. And as we begin, there are two tools we use here, two little mini practices. So the first one is an attitude. I think of this as like the diving mask. So I want you to see if you can find an attitude of some kind of friendly interest. Yeah, friendly interest. What does friendly interest feel like? Friendly interest means you're curious. You don't know what you're going to find, but you're open to whatever it might be. You're open and curious, and you don't have an agenda. You're not trying to make things go one way or the other. There's just this kind of open, curious interest. What am I going to encounter in my inner world? So you think if you were to go diving in the sea, if you went stomping in there, right, all the sea creatures would just swim away. They'd hide. And your inner world is like that. So we need to approach it with a kind of friendly interest that invites us to open up and to be intimate and close to ourselves. So, friendly interest. And then we're going to get in touch with the immediacy of our experience, or with part of it. And this is a bit like slipping on a wetsuit. So I want you to bring your attention down to your right foot and take a moment to really get in touch with the sensations of your right foot. What do you sense there? Whatever it is, there's no right or wrong. You just want to be in touch with whatever happens to be arising there. So you might feel your sock or your shoe, the contact with the ground, maybe an ache in your foot. See if you can sense each individual toe, the heel of your foot. So you're inviting your consciousness, you're entering the inner world, and then you're really running your inner hands, your inner touch into your right ankle. What's that like? As if you're just letting yourself discover it, touch it, feel it, give it a little time to reveal what's there. And then sense your way up your right lower leg, your calf, your shin. Maybe you sense the bone or the skin or the muscle. your clothing, the air temperature. What do you notice there? What can you get in touch with if you give it a little time? And then sensing your right knee, the kneecap, the soft back of the knee. And then sensing up your right thigh. Sense the length of the thigh, perhaps where the thigh starts to make contact with the chair. It's as if every little muscle, every little cell is waking up with sensation, sensing whatever it is that's going on. You don't have to try and make any particular experience happen, but you are getting in touch with what's there. And then sense your right hip and your right buttock. Maybe you sense the breadth of it or the fleshiness of it. Maybe there's something tingly. So if you're not assuming you know what it's like, but you're letting yourself sense it fresh. And then come to your right fingers, and we'll move up the right arm. What's it like to sense that? What are those little fingertips touching? All those millions of little nerve endings. Perhaps the texture of whatever's under your fingers. Sensing your knuckles, the palm and the back of your hand. Just that friendly interest, like, oh, what's my right hand like? You could make a little movement with it. You don't have to be keeping it dead still. And then sense your right wrist. Now the sensing to really fill that out, whatever is happening there. And then moving up into your right forearm. Forearm, all the way to your right elbow. One thing you might notice in some places is you can't sense anything, like there's no sensation. And that's totally fine too. That's a sensation, right? Oh, look, I can't feel anything there. Then you just feel the nothing, sense the nothing. So you see, there's nothing you have to make happen, nothing you have to do. It's very relaxing. Just like contemplating the coral reef, just like sitting there, watching it, letting it reveal whatever it reveals. And then sensing up your right upper arm and into your right shoulder. You might also notice more qualitative kind of sensations, like maybe your right arm feels strong or feels weak. Maybe it feels brittle or it feels muscular. Maybe your right shoulder is all tense and tight today. Or maybe it's nice and relaxed. So however it is, the friendly interest is just getting in touch with where you are. What's going on in your inner world, just as it is. And then sensing across to your left shoulder. What do you find there? Your left shoulder might feel different than the right one. And down your left arm, the upper arm, the elbow. Really letting yourself feel into that. And then the forearm and the wrist and the hand. Again, if you want a little movement, you can use that to get in touch. Get in touch with whatever's there. All the way down to the fingertips, left fingertips. And then bring your sensing to your left hip. How's your left hip today, this morning, this evening? In this very moment, what can you sense there? What can you be in touch with? Your left buttock, your left thigh, left upper leg. Being as intimate, in touch as you can be with this part of your body. So you're guiding your attention round and then down into your left knee, and then down your left lower leg into your ankle, and the heel and ball and toes of your left foot. You might sense energy, right? Maybe you sense something more like energy or like flow, or some kind of substance flowing through your leg, like the very consciousness itself sensing, appearing in your leg. And then sense both arms and both legs. So you're getting in touch with both your arms and your legs. In touch with your sensing, the sensing level of your experience. Now I want you to notice something. Notice how you're feeling. So feeling is different than sensing. Sensing is sensation, all the different sensations of your body, of your consciousness. But notice how you're feeling, like the mood or the affect or the emotional tone that's here right now. What's it like to just give that a moment? Just how you're feeling in this moment, whatever it might be. And then we'll continue with our sensing practice. So begin to include sensing the sound, listening. So you're bringing that same kind of friendly, open, interested attention to the soundscape around you, sounds inside you, my voice, your breathing. So you're listening, sensing and listening. And when you're ready to, you can let your eyes gently open and begin sensing your visual experience, your visual sensing. So you're looking, right? Looking, light, colors, shapes, objects, people on the screen. Yeah, see what you see. How is it to be looking? And now you're sensing, looking, and listening. Sensing, looking, and listening. For all of our inquiry practice, this in a way is the ground, right? Sensing, looking, and listening invites us to enter the immediacy of our experience, the felt sense of what's happening right here, right now. Yeah. And to be in touch with that. To be in touch with it and to continue being in touch with it. So the invitation is actually to continue sensing, looking, and listening as we go on. Right? So that you are in touch with this felt level, the sensed level of your experience. So we've entered into, in some way, part of the ocean of our inner worlds, right? We've got in touch with this immediacy of our felt sense. You may notice, of course, there's a whole lot else going on. There are sensations in the middle of your body, the pelvis, and the belly, and the heart, and the head. And that layer of sensation is one layer, one realm of the inner world, of the inner ocean. Another layer of it, another realm of experience that's always there, right, is the realm of the mind. Right? The mind. So this includes your thinking, your thoughts, right? Images, memories, understandings, knowings, recognitions. Yep, all that takes mind, takes consciousness and understanding and recognition. The capacity to know meaning. We know our minds often like the dialogues and the voices and the conversations and the thoughts and the beliefs, all of that. So that's another layer of our inner world. And I mention those two to differentiate them then from the third layer, which is what we're really looking at today. And that's the heart, the realm of the heart, the realm of feelings. Yeah. So take a moment to just bring your friendly interest to the realm of the heart, to the realm of your feelings. Indeed, friendly interest really takes heart, doesn't it? I mean, friendliness is a quality of heart. It's a kind of friendly, interested, curious, tender, sensitive sort of quality. So in our inquiry, we practice with that. That is a practice. That's something that we try to bring ourselves to as best we can. And what we bring ourselves to then, in this case, is the whole realm of the heart. So the realm of the heart is vast, right? You really think about it. The realm of the heart includes everything, all the feelings and affective and emotional qualities of our experience. So this ranges from our emotional reactions, right? All the different emotional reactions, anger, fear, anxiety, right? Rage, boredom, irritation, sadness, grief, and all the different feelings that we might, different emotional reactions that we can have, frustration, right? Disappointment. Our heart has all these different feelings. And of course, it has all sorts of other feelings as well, like love and joy. Right? All different kinds of love, passionate love, sweet love, melting love, tenderness, compassion, beautiful qualities of heart, enjoyment, fulfillment, satisfaction, value. Right? All of these are like the nectars of the heart, the different kinds of qualities that we can discover. So the heart really brings sort of the color and the humanness to our experience. Right? It really sort of sits at the center and it kind of drives everything around it. If you think how much of what you do is informed or motivated or driven by your feelings, whether it is feelings of fear or anger or sadness, or feelings of joy and love and appreciation. All of these things profoundly impact how we live. So in inquiry, what's so amazing about inquiry is we just want to get curious about our hearts. We want to get to know our hearts. There are many kinds of spiritual practices that are focused on trying to make us sort of get into one or other condition of the heart, like love. Love is a good thing. We should all meditate on love and become more loving. Or compassion. We should all learn about compassion, become more kind. Or joy. Everybody wants joy. So we want to find out about joy and make ourselves more joyful. Yeah? Or follow our passion, find out about our passion and the passionate heart. And the beauty is it's true. I mean, all of those things are wonderful, beautiful, exquisite qualities of our hearts. But what happens when on a particular day your heart is feeling disappointed or feeling sad or feeling frustrated, right? That just happens to be where you are. So the power of inquiry, just like diving into the ocean, we dive in and we see all these feelings that might be floating around, just like the fish in the sea. And sometimes it's angelfish, and sometimes it's like eels with lots of teeth, right? These are the feelings that we can actually encounter. Sometimes our feelings are like sharks, and sometimes our feelings are like the most delicate, exquisite sea anemones. So with inquiry, the thing is, we just want to find out about it. We want to be in touch with the intimacy of our heart to find out what's true, like what's actually true for us, to invite that truth to come forward and to be discovered. It's like every feeling that you have, it has some truth to it. There's something going on there that's really valid, really legitimate. And we need to give it space and actually find out about it. It doesn't mean, just to be clear, inquiring into our feelings and being willing to allow them and to let them happen doesn't mean that we just act our feelings out all over the place, right? Doesn't mean I'm angry, so therefore I'm going to stomp around and yell at everybody and you know, splash my anger out on everybody. No, it's actually not what it means. But what it does mean is that in the sacredness of my inquiry space, I can really allow myself my anger. I can go and recognize the truth that, yes, right now, I'm really angry. I'm really mad about something, and I want to find out about that. I want to give this anger some space and discover what it is. Discover what's going on there. Right? This is how our heart truly grows and develops and matures by allowing all of these feelings, learning to be with them, to hold them, to let them happen, learning to actually be able to articulate them. And this is where inquiry goes beyond meditation. Because in meditation, you could be sitting there and feeling the feeling that's there, right? But in some way, you might sort of let it go. Whereas with inquiry, we don't want to let it go. We're like, oh no, there's this feeling. That's really interesting. That's really important. Let me find out about it. Let me discover what it is. What can I say about it? What can I say about it? How can I describe it? If I were describing it to someone who'd never had the experience, how could I express it and describe it? How can I find out what's actually true here? So this is the beautiful invitation. And what we find is that as we do that, as we give ourselves space to be where we are, to feel what we feel, and to contemplate it, to find out what it is, what's making it happen, where it's coming from within us, that the experience begins to open up and to reveal more, to take us deeper. Right? So that's the adventure of inquiry. That's when we begin to find a feeling and then we can follow it to see where it's taking us, what's actually making it happen. I'll give you some little quick examples. Like I used in there, maybe one day you're feeling sad. You sit down, oh, I'm feeling sad today. Okay, what's the sadness like? Well, it feels tender and soft. My heart feels kind of vulnerable and delicate. Feel the sort of delicacy in my heart and my chest. It's actually a very sweet, delicate, quite beautiful feeling, but there's an ache. There's something painful in it. I wonder what the pain is. And I feel into it and allow it. And oh, this pain, actually, it feels like it's actually connected with a thing that happened yesterday with my friend, and I felt like they didn't really see me. They didn't really get what I was saying. And it's made me feel this kind of delicate, painful sadness. Oh, that's okay. So we're understanding something. So then I dive even more into it. I go, oh, so how come? What about that? What's that touching in me? And as I feel into that feeling, I might recognize, oh, actually, in the moment, my heart feels young. I feel like a little child. It's like a little kid here who wanted to be seen, wanted to be recognized, and I felt like nobody recognized me. Right? So then I've followed that feeling down into some young part of my soul that is actually where it's coming from, part of where it's coming from. Right? And as I see that, I see, oh, there's that little, I can remember what happened and I feel the pain of it and the hurt of it. And as I see that, oh, something in my heart just goes, oh, poor little guy. Just feel so sorry for him, I want to give him a little hug. So my heart responds with some kind of love in this case, sort of love and caring. And that little part of me, that little young part of my soul relaxes. And as that relaxes, the hurt goes away. And I feel myself as this love. I'm like, oh, I feel this love. And I realize it doesn't matter if my friend didn't really see me. I don't feel badly about it, right? I feel this love, and that somehow makes it all okay. So you see, it's a way that we can go from the surface, from some kind of reaction. We can follow it down, diving down, and eventually get to some kind of truth that completely transforms how we are in the situation. This is the magic of inquiry. But the first step, the first step for many of us is that we have to learn to be in touch with our hearts. We have to learn to make space for our hearts as they are, with whatever feelings are going on, right? Whatever reactions, whether positive or negative. You might think people have difficulty allowing their negative feelings. That's true, right? We often don't want to feel afraid or angry or sad. But sometimes just as challenging to allow the positive feelings. You don't really want to feel how much you love that person, right? Or how attracted you are, or how much you really want something. So to open to our heart means opening to all of this, opening to our feelings, our longings, our loves, our hates, the whole bang shoot, little by little. It is a journey. So it's a journey. It's a beautiful practice of getting to hang out with yourself, hang out with your heart, and just want to know a little bit about it. Yeah. So I want to give you some space to actually take this out for a spin, to try this out yourself. Right? Like I said, it's not just a talk shop. So we're going to put you into a breakout room, and you'll be in a breakout room with one other person. Right? So you'll be in breakout rooms in groups of 2. If you don't want to do the exercise, which is fine, you can not do it if you want to. I would really invite you to do it, because really that's where the magic is going to happen. But if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But if you don't want to do it, then I will ask you shortly to drop off, because we don't want to create the breakout rooms and then you drop off and someone finds themselves without a partner. And then you can rejoin about 20 minutes later. So you're going to find yourself in a room with another person, and you're going to do a little dive to explore your heart. Right? And you're going to have a diving buddy. So there's going to be you and another person who's like your diving buddy as you dive into the realm of your heart. Yeah. The exercise will be in 2 parts. So first off, you'll each take 5 minutes, right? Just 5 minutes. Right? And You take that 5 minutes and you just mention in the 5 minutes, just explore some of the feelings that have come up for you in the last while. Some of the heart experiences, anything like I've mentioned, emotions, different emotional reactions, how you felt in different situations, positive, like if it's qualities of essence, like kindness or love or joy or any of those mention those, right? Any experience of heart that you've had, right? Longings or wishes or loves or hates or disappointments, anything. So what you want to do is look over the last while, by which I mean whatever feels appropriate to you. It could be the last couple of days, the last, recent sort of little piece of your life, just to see what kind of feelings have been around. So you each have 5 minutes to do that. One person goes, and then the other person goes. And then after that, you go back to the first person, and you're going to take 3 minutes, just 3 minutes, right, to hang out in the moment, as I'm going to show you shortly, and just mention the feeling that's present right there in your heart right now, right? So in the first one, what you're doing is talking about your heart. You're talking about recent experience of your heart. And in the second one, you are entering into the moment and actually mentioning, attending to your heart in the moment and mentioning what's happening right there as you're having it. Right? Do you get the difference? Because I really want you to get a sense of the difference. Right? And to kind of warm us up, I'm going to just walk us into a little bit of the second exercise. So take a moment now and remember your friendly interest and begin to notice just how you're feeling right now, whatever feeling is here. What's it like to get in touch with it, to actually feel it, and then to mention it, describe it, like actually say what it is, give it some words. Nobody can hear you. So just let yourself find the words to describe the feeling that's here now. It could be anything. You might go, well, I'm not feeling very much right now. You might go, oh, I feel a kind of gentle curiosity. And then you give it a moment, take a little moment, staying in touch with your heart, and mention now, how are you feeling, right? So a few seconds later, well, now, so I'm feeling a little nervous. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this right. And then again, you give it a couple of seconds. And then describe your heart again. What are you feeling now? Yeah. So what you're doing is letting yourself be in touch with your feelings. And on a moment by moment basis, just say what it is that's happening right there. Right? It might be exactly the same thing. You might say the same thing for 3 minutes. It's totally fine. There's no right or wrong. You can't get this wrong. You really can't. You might be sitting there going, oh, I just feel irritated. I really don't want to do this. And then you go, well, I feel a bit relieved to have said that. Oh, actually, now I feel a bit anxious about whether I should have said that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. And now I feel a bit of a chuckle, like some lightness about how I get so worried about these things. And now I feel a stillness in my heart. Feels kind of peaceful. Oh, now my heart seems to expand. It feels really big. So you see what I'm doing? I'm just hanging out with it, staying in touch with my heart. It's just like I'm in the water and I'm just attending to whatever kind of feelings go by, and every so often mentioning it, just mentioning what's happening, right? So the person doing the exercise will be doing that. And the diving buddy, right, the partner, is just a completely neutral, silent witness. You just sit there and you watch. You let them do whatever they do. Right? You don't have to say anything. You don't have to respond. They might be saying something wonderful. They might be experiencing terrible fear. They might be experiencing lots of joy. They might be experiencing grief and tears. It's all fine, right? All you're doing is letting them have the space to actually be with their heart. And you will then have the space to be with your heart. Okay. So that's the exercise. So reminder, 2 parts. The first part, you take 5 minutes to talk about things that you have felt recently, the way that your heart has showed up recently. And then you take time to talk about what is happening right there in the moment. So the first one is 5 minutes, and the second one is 3. And I am copying those and pasting them in the chat now. Oh, there they are already. That's wonderful. Thank you, Michael. Michael put them in the chat. Lovely. Okay. So 5 minutes each for the first one, and then 3 minutes each for the second one is going to give us 16 minutes in total. And we'll add an extra couple of minutes to put you in breakout rooms so that you can say hello to your partner. So say hello. And then go into your exercise. And the person who's witnessing can do the time, right? Maybe just time for 5 minutes or time for 3 minutes for each thing. So is everybody clear about the exercise? Yeah, good, good, excellent. So go and enjoy hanging out with your heart and exploring it, taking the time to give it words and all of that. And I am now going to pop you all into breakout rooms. So give me a second. If you are not going to do the exercise, then please drop off now and rejoin us in 20 minutes. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back from your little mini dive, into your heart. So I'm kind of curious. I'm curious what you found, how that was. And maybe just to start things off, you could just pop a word or two or something in the chat. Just say something about how that was. How has it affected you? Just notice how it's affected you, to take a few minutes to just hang out with your heart, with your feelings, with whatever those feelings are. And it can be positive or negative. You don't have to, you can just say whatever it is, whatever is true for you. So sadness, more sadness. Kathy says delicious and expansive. Hey, Kathy. Nice to see you here. Tom, delightful. Yeah, signs of spring. Grateful. Expansive and connected. Yeah, empowered by this work. A benediction. Ooh, beautiful word. Yeah, relax, welcoming. My heart loved me naming all my feelings. Went very juicy. Great. More understanding about a situation. Yeah, joyful, excited. Reminder of duality and the law of 3. curious. Uplifted, happy, newly cautious. Is this safe at last? That's a very good question. I'm so glad you could mention that. Like cautious, that's a feeling, right? Expanded, rich, more feeling the contact between us, yeah, while speaking from the experience. Beautiful, lovely. All righty, so let's see, are there any questions? Yeah, Dan, apprehensive of how deep this can go. So that's a real thing, hey? How deep can this go? How deep is your heart? Right? Our heart is really, that ocean analogy is not an accident. Yeah, the heart is really like the ocean. The inner world is like the ocean. So that's an interesting point you raised there. In this first little exercise, we're just dipping our toe into it, right? Letting ourselves hang out with it and just mention what's there. But it's true, in time, it opens up, it gets deeper and deeper. We feel our love and our joy more deeply, and we might feel our hurts and our pains, and our angers and our hatreds. All of it kind of opens up. But it opens up and we get to discover more the truth of it. And the truth is really what's so wonderful. Yeah, so if you've got a question, if you'd like to share something or you'd like to ask a question or make a comment or even inquire a little further, just raise your electronic hand. So you can do that by pressing the participants button and then raising your hand, and you'll float up to the top and I'll see you. Hey, Meryl. There you are. Unmute yourself, Meryl.
So tell me if this isn't relevant, because it's something that happened during the sensing exercise.
Yes.
So maybe it's not relevant, but when we were going up the right side of my body,
Yep.
I had some very different heart experiences than when I was going down the left side.
Oh,
So
different heart experiences.
yeah, or different experiences, like going up the right side, I was aware of sort of healthy impulses, and then going down, there was a lot and there wasn't much tension in my body, but going down, there was tension in my shoulder. There was all the feeling of not being good enough and being rejected and all that kind of thing on the left side.
Beautiful. So Meryl, that's important, right? That's significant. So that's what the sensing practice helped you get in touch with in this moment. And it's lovely that you can feel the connection between like different parts of your bodies and the feelings and the energies in different parts of your body and the different feelings and emotional qualities of hearts that seem to get activated, right? How is it just to recognize that?
Well, I've been recognizing it throughout your class that I'm in.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I'm puzzled. Does it mean I've got sort of two sides of me that need to be integrated?
Yeah, well, you can hold open the should, right? And just to notice, oh, there are these differences, right? So when I feel more into this side, I can explore more what seems to come up there. And I feel into that side, you can explore that. You see what happens when you feel both, right? When you sense both together. So it's just like diving in your inner ocean, right? There's no right or wrong here. It's like you've discovered something over here and you've discovered something over here. And the main thing right now is there's more to discover.
Okay.
Yeah.
And trust that it will eventually integrate.
Who knows? We don't know. We don't know what it's going to do. Maybe it will. Do you need it to integrate?
Well, I would love it to have more of I was a very cut off kind of child and teenager, very stunted. So I would like the right side feeling of growth and exploring to emerge more prominently in my life.
Aha, okay. Yeah, well, maybe you can
Yeah.
sense that energy and see what it's like as you're sensing your right side and you go into your life. That might be good. But you might find that there's something about the contraction on the left side that's important about that too, right? So these, these may be related. There might be some kind of expansion, but there's also something kind of holding back more in some way. So yeah, you just want to, what's it like right now? What are you in touch with in this moment?
It's interesting. My body is sitting up straighter. The
Mhm.
pain in my back that developed when I was doing the left side is a tiny bit less.
Mhm.
And there's more of a sense of resolution, like, Meryl, you're not dead yet. You've got time
Oh,
to enjoy the life that's left.
uh-huh. So as you sense your body like that, and as you say that,
Uh-huh.
how do you feel? How are you feeling?
Hey, I'm here. I'm just as good as all these other kids that, in my when I was 13. I'm
Uh-huh.
just as good. I just happen to be growing up later in life.
Feel that. How does that make you feel?
Um, okay, it makes me want to rock a little bit. It feels more peaceful and
Hmm. Yes.
more, yeah, less urgent, more peaceful, more, hey, I can just let my process emerge.
Beautiful. Oh, so it sounds like there's some more trust. You can just let things
Yeah,
happen.
more trust. My shoulders just relaxed and my chest is expanding. It's moving outward to give more space for my heart to be able to care for that 13-year-old.
Uh-huh, right. So you see now your heart is responding to that 13-year-old.
Yeah, I can care for her.
Yeah,
And it was one teacher and one student. It was the student who was mean. The teacher was trying to help but didn't know how.
yeah,
But it I can forgive them.
yeah. Beautiful.
I can let them go.
Right.
I
That
can.
seems to really touch you. Yeah. Yeah. So you let the tears come, let it touch you. Your heart is very touched.
Yeah, the teacher really did want to help. And the kid, well, she was a kid.
Right.
She was a kid.
Yes.
I mean, she did do something that affected me hugely, but she was a kid.
So there's more understanding.
Yeah.
Understanding.
And this left shoulder is wanting to move instead of just stay tight and
Yeah,
tense.
very good. Right. So it's beautiful what you're showing us here. The way that the feelings come, the understanding, right? And the body responds. Right. So that's great. Yeah. Just let that happen. Let that happen.
It's interesting now, both shoulders are doing it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good, Meryl.
Thank you.
Good with that. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay with that. Just let the feelings come. You might notice how it touches you and wonder, what is that? What is it that's touching you? Feeling how your heart responds. Yeah. Anything else? Anyone got something to share or to ask? Notice how's your heart feeling now? Yeah. Yeah, Sue, go ahead, Sue, and mute yourself there.
Thank you. So, in the first exercise, I named all the feelings I had today, which were very, very wide ranging. And I'm quite in tune with my, I just want to pin you down. I'm quite in tune with my feelings. And so it was quite fluent, naming them one after the other. And they were ranging from, irritation and pain to joy. And then in the second 3 minutes, my heart just went so juicy and so like it just loved the exercise.
Oh, yes.
And what surprised me was that, normally I would feel a feeling and then inquire into it or want to know more about it or something. But this wasn't that. This was almost like feeling itself is a value.
Yes.
And my heart was telling me, like, thank you for including me or something like a response to the first exercise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful, Sue.
Yeah.
I noticed that. I noticed with that. So I call it a continuum of heart, right? So, we do like continuum of awareness, where we're just aware and you just mention one thing after the other. But a continuum of feeling where you're just staying in touch with the feeling and mentioning it and attending to it, right? It's like there's something so precious about just giving it space, just giving the heart space. And I think it's true that sometimes in our inquiry, we can get a little busy with it, you know what I mean? Right? And actually a big part of the inquiry is just to really feel and give space to.
I think it was also the naming, like the recognition
Yes.
and also there was a neutrality, like it's not a good feeling and a bad feeling, like just feeling.
Right. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So
Recognizing.
actually something about specifically not just the feeling, but the feeling and the recognition of it, taking the time to really recognize.
Yeah, like valuing feeling itself, whatever the feeling is.
Yeah.
Something like that. So sort of deeper instead of specific feelings or just feeling.
Yes,
And
valuing.
recognizing that's a capacity and going, wow, it's beautiful.
It is. I'm not surprised it got very juicy.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, Sue. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
I don't know how to put on the hand. Can I speak?
Jane, go ahead. You certainly can.
Well, I would love to introduce myself to you. I took Gabor Mate's trainings and read 4 Almas books. And when I saw you this week with that title of your book, I am so excited to meet you. My doctoral dissertation is called Diving Deep and Surfacing, a creative
beautiful
process for change. I would love to share it with you. I spent my entire career for the last 40 years on the idea of diving into the ocean to get your treasures and coming surface into a new place of transformation. So I can't wait to read your book.
I can't wait to read your thesis.
I feel so connected. And I want to say that this process, which I've never done before, allowed me to go deeper into my joy. And so what I want to say is that in my heart, my mom just died and my sister is dying in the hospital, and I have felt powerless and not able to honor my contribution, calling her every day and working to get the will started for my mom. And I've been disconnected from my own work, my own purpose. And when I saw your book and reconnected to my work and my purpose, my being, my feeling of connection to my purpose, my soul's purpose of doing this work just opened. But I'm not sure. My question for you is that my intellect, my cognition, or is that my heart? Or I think it's my spirit, my soul. And I don't know how you differentiate those parts.
Yeah, well, everything is occurring in your soul, right? So it's all your soul, everything is your soul, right? Your field of consciousness. But let me ask you, what's the feeling of it? What's the feeling? When you say you connect with your purpose, what's the feeling that you have?
Well, the last time I had this feeling is when I presented at Dr. Matei's conference in Canada, and I presented diving deep and surfacing.
What's the
And
feeling? What's the feeling? Just describe the feeling itself.
the feeling was uplifted. My being could connect with somebody else that I admire, that I look up to, that I can be in a higher level. So you're asking for the feeling.
Yeah. How do you feel when
pride.
you're connected in that way? When you feel connected in that way, how does that make you feel?
Alive, open, expanded, uplifted.
Seem to be smiling.
Smiling, joyous. I want to jump up and down.
Right. Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
that is heart.
So that the feeling part of it is the heart, right? The wanting to jump up and down, that's the movement that expresses the heart, right? That's the sort of the expression of it. But what's making that movement, that's like a sensation. That's part of your body or your belly. We would call that your belly. But what makes that want to happen is the joy that you feel in your heart, right?
So does the joy come first, or the connection?
Very good. So that's a very interesting question, right? Because it sounds like now you're kind of getting a little more discriminating, that there is a joy, but the particular thing that the joy is connected with or is about is the connection. So there is something about the connection. Yes, that's intriguing.
So, but that's not, is that a relationship? I mean,
right.
Dr. Matei didn't know I was feeling what I was feeling. You didn't know what I was feeling.
Exactly. But it sounds like in your experience, it is a relational experience. It is a feeling that arises in the context of you and your sense of another. Does that make sense?
Yes, it totally makes sense.
You and your sense of him, or you and your sense of me, that feeling arises in that configuration in your experience. Yeah.
Yes, but then it makes me think that I'm having relationships with people that they don't even know I'm having the relationship with them.
How's that for a discovery? Right.
That I go ahead.
Yeah, so we're doing it all the time. I mean, we have feelings about people and things all the time. If you really look into the feelings, a lot of the time they're kind of about something, right? They're connected with something. So that's right on. So they're kind of really inquiring into the heart in time, then we'll begin to open up that whole thing. You begin to see, oh, it's not just my joy, or it's not just my love. My love is connected with something. Sometimes it is just my love, but sometimes it's connected with something. So these are all just different ways it can arise, and you can just be curious about it, right? Like that's how it shows up for you.
And then I need to paint it or journal it or put it out in some form.
Right, you can, or explore it, right? Explore it, just like a diver exploring. Oh, there's me and there's them, right? Actually, to be honest, you're getting into the territory of my next book. So you'll have to wait until I write that, and then we'll go into it. Or actually, it will be in some of the courses, I think, before it's in a book. So maybe this might be a good time to mention some of those. But yeah, exactly. So you're discovering something in your inner world, and you just continue exploring and discovering.
Well, I can't wait to send you my dissertation and find out about your school. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome, Jane. Thanks for lovely to meet you here, and thanks for saying that. Yeah, so it's such a short time we have together, but we are sort of slowly coming to the end. So I want to mention a couple of things. Really, as you saw what we're doing here, what you did in the practice is really the very, very first step, which is to begin to get in touch with the heart and to articulate it, to recognize what's there and to give words to it. So in time then, as described in the book, we kind of go into discovering like what the feeling is, like to really get to know it intimately and in depth. What is this feeling that I'm having? If I kind of zero in on it and feel into it, I can find out about it. And in time, we can ask another question. We begin to ask, well, what's making it happen? How come I'm feeling this? And that's a little bit like where Jane's starting to go like, oh, this feeling is not just happening randomly. It's kind of meaningfully arising in my experience. And by staying in touch with the experience and beginning to explore it, I can begin to discover what's making that happen, what the inner dynamics of that are within my consciousness, right? And so this is really where our inquiry starts taking us diving deeper and deeper, right? We begin to discover those inner treasures. So the book outlines kind of all of these different elements, and we've discovered people like really get so much out of doing it like in a class or in that kind of setting. So I offer some inquiry classes where we teach the sort of step-by-step, take you through all the basic steps. And they're like really digestible classes, like 6 sessions, 7 sessions. We've been doing them live. We're soon going to launch some on-demand classes, which I'm really, really excited about. I've actually been recording those the last couple of days. So we're going to have some on-demand classes that you can do anytime, and then we'll have a live component where you can get together with me and with other students and other teachers and really sort of dive in and explore and learn how to engage this practice. So you can find out about all of that at divein.life, which Michael will put in the chat. There's the website. There's also a Facebook group which you're welcome to join if you would like to, or a page to follow, Dive In Inquiry. And I'd love to hear from you. So if you're interested in inquiry, if you have some experience you want to share, please feel free to be in touch. If you have suggestions or questions, let me know those too, because we do a monthly forum. And I could bring like some of the questions people share with me, we then actually address in that forum. So Dive In with Dom is, it's like Wednesday evenings, 6:30 p.m. UK time. I think it's 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. On one Wednesday a month, usually somewhere in the middle. And those are free to attend. So anybody can come, and the recordings are available on the divein.life website as well. So there are loads of back recordings. There's some really interesting sessions that we did exploring different parts of inquiry. So if you want to learn a little more about it, that's a great resource that you can go and check out for free. And if you want to go a little further with it, then look out for some of the courses coming down the way. So on that note, I think that brings us to time.
What's the name of your new book?
Oh no, the new book is still in the works, Meryl, but it'll be in the course. There'll be a course soon. I'll let you know when that comes out. But we're going to be looking specifically at those relational structures, right? So the sense of a self and a something else, right? An other that is so central to so much of our experience. So, thank you for joining me here. Take a moment to just notice how you're feeling now. How's your heart in this moment as we come to the end? Has your heart enjoyed a little attention? And remember, you can do that anytime, right? You can always just check in and just hang out with your heart a bit and notice what you're feeling. So I wish you a lovely rest of your day, lovely evening. And I hope to see you around at one of our sessions sometime.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you, everybody.
You're very welcome. You can unmute and say goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you.
Mm.
Thanks very much.
Excellent. Thank you.